Can you say hard hats, folks? Hard hats, lunch pails, steel-toe boots?
Anything short of a championship this year is a failure.
Look at this boomer right here.
You've just got so much talent here.
Somebody said we need to apologize for Jaylen.
Can I call the John? What are we apologizing for? What did we say? What did we do?
I enjoyed that.
Did you?
I think that was our first time here for that. Yeah.
Yeah. I played it the other day when you guys, it was just me and Jimmy. Anyway, mixed bag of a game that we're going to talk about and just in our little pregame chat here. It seems like there's, positive and negative. Everyone's got something to say. One as usual, these are going to be slow builds for me. So I'll let you guys start because I've got a lot on my mind right now. And again, anybody joining us here has it. Celtics lose to the Warriors in a game that they were up, I think 15 and possibly 17 was the high mark here. And they lost. And they lost this game. They pissed it away. Didn't close out as they should have. Were outscored by 11 in the fourth quarter and 6-2 in OT, missing bunnies, settling for threes. And I really think above all else, you can go into individual performances. I think they completely went away from what was working, which is old Celtics basketball, which is build the lead and then slow it down and settle for shots and ISO and do all of the things that don't necessarily amount to wins or equal what had gotten you to that point to begin with. And I think that's kind of where they got tonight. But Sherrod, I'll start with you. And you can go in any direction you want here because I'm sure we'll cover it all.
Yeah, well, I'm going to save the Kada talk for later because that's really for me, that was the revelation in this game that I just did not see coming. But this was it just felt that watching this game play down the stretch, I didn't think Golden State did anything special. Celtics, you're right, John. They did get into a little bit more ISO ball than we know they need to. And I thought they leaned way too heavy on Al Horford in the corner. I mean, damn, seriously? That was like their go-to offensive move. And there were just moments in the game where it seemed that they got away from what works. I mean, when Steph hit that 1-3 that made it like 116, 115, and they come back down, I'm thinking it's Tatum time. We've got about 2-3 minutes left to play. You got to get it to him. And on that first possession, Tatum didn't touch the ball once. And they have these stretches where it seems like it's a no-brainer that your best scorer is going to get the ball. And they decided to do something different. This was a game that they had their opportunities to win this thing, and they squandered those opportunities. But when I look at the totality of this game, there were more things I liked that they did than things I didn't like. This was just one of them games. I mean, Sam Hauser doesn't make a shot. I can't remember the last time he's had a game like that. And I don't feel bad about this loss the way I think a lot of fans probably feel, because Golden State record-wise, at the end of the day, they've got multiple guys who've won championships on that team. And Steph Curry, and we talked about this before we went on air, he just had like a 5-year stretch of making threes per game, at least 1 3 per game, snapped. So you knew he was going to come back and be more impactful from deep. And he was when it mattered most.
Yeah, I feel a little worse about it just because I don't think big Curry plays throughout cost you this one. Certainly at the end they did. But the Celtics had a 10-point lead early, had an 11-point lead midway through this game. Not massive leads, but ones that we've talked about this year. You hope to build on, you hope to expand when you're playing against a team that's, frankly, as you said, Sherrod, flailing in recent weeks with the Draymond suspension. They lose Podzinski in this game, have to go with Corey Joseph for bench minutes, and I didn't even realize he was on this team. So you wanted to take care of business against a team that was in rough shape coming into this game. And they certainly got some great performances deep off their bench. The Celtics bench kind of had a dud other than Kada, who we'll get to in a little bit here. But rough Hauser game, rough Horford game if we're involving him in the bench crew there. And then Pritchard had some good shots throughout the flow of this game. So I guess you give him the hat tip as well here. But the offensive management late, rough. Didn't love Joe's coaching late in this game, which we can get to in a minute. The no timeout call, I know John, as always, didn't love, and it led to a disaster shot again at the end of regulation. And then you outplayed pretty bad in overtime.
Look, and I'll get into again, that's the nitpicky stuff. Like, I don't like it either. And like, I tweeted about it and predictably. So I like the theory behind doing it, which is don't give the other team a chance to settle their defense. You attack and you go and you get them on their heels. It doesn't work when you walk it up and give it to Tatum and allow him to get double teamed and all he can do is shoot that prayer.
Well, he was against the single there. He couldn't get free.
I know he couldn't get free, but that's a 15%er there. Like, I mean, that's such a small chance. So yeah, draw something up then. Like, I don't understand it. So
I also saw the point too. Brad used to do it all the time when the play's falling apart. Then you can call a timeout midway through.
With 4 seconds left, yeah. I don't like where we are here. Tatum's 40 feet from the basket. This isn't going to go right.
He's never done that. Not that I can remember.
One time.
Maybe, yeah.
But anyway, I'm not going to nitpick that. That's annoying as hell. I mean, if you want to go very, very – the two basic broad, I think, takeaways are going to be, and again, this is going to be the push and pull between the everything's all right crew and the sky is falling crew, and obviously, like, it's somewhere in the middle. It's not even somewhere in the middle. It's still an excellent team that lost a game, and Steph Curry hit a ridiculous shot late, and without Porzingis, even though Golden State is shorthanded too, Tatum rolls an ankle. You can make a million excuses here, but at the end of the game, you're going to look at this and the people who are always, trying to wrestle with, this is the year, right? They can do it this year, right? This is the team. They've got what it takes. They've got all of it. And then you see the core guys come to pieces against a good team on the road like this in ways that are reminiscent of past teams and how they had lost, and it's impossible not to remember. Crap, it's the same guys. And like,
John, this is the same building last season swung in the inconsistency and with a loss like this against the Warriors.
And so it's impossible to not see that and think that. Is it an overreaction? Of course, in a vacuum, talking about one game as if it's the most important thing in the history of the world and like, oh my God, you lost this, it's doomsday. That's an overreaction. But being concerned about this type of loss against this type of team in that building in this manner, I think is justified. And I think that's what it's going to come down to for me and for a lot of people who are like right on that ledge of like, no one could beat these guys, right? They can do it, right? But then you see this and you're like, man, I don't know. Like, what do you do against Jimmy Butler's Heat? Like, are you going to be better than you were last year? What do you do against a team like Golden State if you run into them late? And by the way, this was my prediction for the finals, Celtics Warriors, even though Golden State's not living up to their end of the bargain. That's worrisome. That's my number one headline. My number two is your best player sucked all night. And their best player was really good and hit a shot. And then the game before that, you watch John Morant.
So can we lead off with Tatum?
Haven't played in months, and he gets the ball in his hands on the last shot. What does he do? He goes to the basket, spins, hits a buzzer shot, and Tatum predictably sets a step, leans into the thing he's absolutely the worst at in basketball, that friggin' pull-up three, and just enough already. Like, he needs help. He needs counseling. Stop. He has to stop.
Whoa.
He has to stop taking that shot. He needs God. Anyway, so that's frustrating. All of that is frustrating.
So I want to start with Tatum.
They come out and wipe everybody out tomorrow, wipe out Sacramento in a bounce back game and blow through the two LA games. We'll forget about a lot of this stuff, but this is reminiscent of other bad, so it's more looking back than projecting forward as to what does this loss mean. And that's how I'm putting it. I'm not overreacting to the one, but it's impossible not to remember, and that's where I'm at. But sure, start with Tatum.
Throughout the course of this game, it felt like they had golden opportunities to batter the Warriors inside. And Trace Jackson Davis changed that a little bit with his rim protection that he brought off the bench. But in the starting lineup, the Warriors look completely vulnerable inside, not to mention the fact that Curry ends up with 5 fouls before the start of the fourth in this one. So this is a game where it looked like Tatum all day long could have posted up, could have gone to the rim, drawn free throws, played a power game, much like Brown did in this game, I thought, well. But they guard him so well. And it goes back to the final, Sherrod. They make him a passer. They put 2 on him. They have a guy in the lane. Every time he catches it inside, there's another guy lined up. And I sit there watching how effective it is against them. And I'm like, why don't more teams do this against Tatum? He made some great passes in this game. I love the pass out that I think got White a 3 in the corner. And he ends up with how many assists in this one? And, to go back to some of our earlier conversations, the hockey assists, he was great with those in this one. But 7 assists, you look at that with no turnovers and say, wow, great Tatum night other than the shooting. And I do think missed shots were a big part of this game, as Joe, I'm sure, is going to say. But they made Tatum passive. They made him a passer. And it ends up looking nice on the score sheet. But when you're watching this game, John Sherrod, he let them off the hook by passing out multiple bodies at the rim and crowds.
Tatum makes himself passive. But anyway, you're right. Yeah.
No, but the Warriors really bring it out of him.
Well, I think part of that is because he just doesn't – the edge that he plays with and the focus that he plays with, for some reason, it tends to kind of flutter against the Warriors. It's not at the level that it needs to be. And this was one of those games where, honest to goodness, as much as we're going to – and we're certainly – Tatum is at there's no question he's a big part of what happened tonight. I'm going to put a little bit of this on Joe, too. Because as the coach, you got to –
Thank you, Bass Rock, for the super chat here. A lot of comments going at Joe here.
Yeah,
so it's fair.
This was a game where Joe's passiveness, I think, trickled down to the players. Think about this. You're playing a Golden State team that you know damn well you can play bully ball on them all game. And it was a smart move to play Kada as much as you did. He played like 20, 21 minutes and had a double-double. But you had other guys on your roster that you could play the bully ball game with. And I thought that Joe didn't emphasize that about, particularly down the stretch. I'm running some action where Tatum is getting that ball on the elbow or somewhere where he is going to force them to actually defend. And the other thing, too, I understand why Joe wanted them to not call a timeout at the end of regulation and play. But here's the thing. You're playing a Golden State team that's not nearly as good defensively as they've been. That's why you call a timeout, because even if they get a chance to organize, it's not going to be Golden State defense that you're dealing with. You're dealing with a weaker version of who they are. And to me, there were moments in this game, at least 5 or 6, where you're thinking that, why are they doing that? Why is it the coach putting him in a position to do something different? So
I thought a huge second guess for Joe, beyond all the stuff you mentioned, Sherrod, which was valid. I thought he coached a very rigid game, as we've talked about. They try to play the same way they have against a team that was playing them differently in terms of the defense and everything else. But the challenges, he ends up challenging this out of bounds call. And what was it, overtime, John? This innocuous play where they lose. Oh no, it was the end of the fourth, where they lose a timeout, or whatever it was. They lose a timeout, so then they don't have an extra timeout in that situation where they're down 4 after the 3, which didn't matter because there wasn't a ton of time left. But they had 2 golden opportunities, I thought, to challenge before that. On the Pritchard play, and I can't figure out exactly on the fly here how that would have changed the final score of the game, but it looked like he got that 3 off where they said he stepped out of bounds. Not a great camera angle on it, it looked like, and I'm assuming that's why they didn't challenge that. But I thought that would have been a really good 3-point swing, especially since Curry hit that 3 the other way over Horford right after that, to challenge that and at least stop the game in that spot. There were 3 minutes left, so you lose a timeout 10 seconds later because of the mandatory. And I was stunned he didn't challenge that. And then they probably lose this one, but that Brown offensive foul going into Curry, that would have been Curry's 6th a couple moments later. It's a flyer, right? You could challenge a worse call, and I think they did.
I like that one. Josue, fresh from the club. We're going to bring him in here.
What do you mean?
I liked that. The broadcast was like, "That's a textbook charge," and I was like, "No, it's not."
Right.
Like,
You never know what the refs are gonna call,
Curry
right?
Was that Warriors TV that we watched? I swear, I got those vibes. Not to sound like Celtics fans, but I got those vibes.
I know. I get that Curry's entitled to his spot there, but Jaylen didn't go through him. Curry moved laterally into his spot.
It's a possible sixth foul.
And absorbed contact. That's a game-changing challenge. Much more. This is what it comes to. The challenges are stupid. Like, I don't care how many he wins. He's won a couple of good ones. It's when you challenge and what it means. Getting a sixth foul on a superstar, getting a possession late,
he challenged an out of bounds call,
reversing a foul on your own guy. Those that could knock him out of the game for a quarter. Those are worth a flyer, even if you lose. The what you get from winning them is so important. Just getting the ball back on a random possession is so stupid and inconsequential. Stop with those. Those are dumb, especially the early ones. They're dumb. They're dumb challenges. Like, do the ones that have weight, okay? You get 90, 100 possessions in a game. Like, okay, the second quarter, that out of bounds should have been your ball. Who freaking cares? Save it for later when it really matters. The Curry one.
Or in this case, earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, or earlier, whatever it is. But anyway, back on Tatum, and we'll get Josue's take here. You don't have to stay on Tatum, but what's your chief takeaway of this game?
I just felt like the Celtics, they did that thing where they play with their food, when it really matters, and you can't do that against this Golden State Warriors team. Listen, Jason Tatum didn't have an excellent game, but a lot of guys did. I mean, what I mean by that is Jaylen Brown, Derek White was phenomenal, to use Bobby's word for sure. It was unbelievable the way he was impacting the game on both ends of the floor, and you blew it. You blew it in the second half, or at least in the fourth quarter, or in regulation, where this game shouldn't have even gone to overtime. And yeah, I'm with you, John. I feel like, in that situation, if you're Joe Mazzulla, you take that challenge because of what it means, right? It means Steph Curry picking up his sixth foul, frustration with the Warriors and all that. I mean, even if you don't win the challenge, I figured it was worth it, And when you look at that last challenge, the out of bounds play, it just looked like a blind challenge. It looked like one that he was just pulling for.
Let's just use it. Yeah.
Crossing his fingers. Let's just use it. If not, so be it. You can't do that in those type of situations because timeouts mean everything, especially on the road, especially in a game where you went into overtime. And you could have used one of those, especially in that last minute. Now, the Celtics, they have to stop doing this. You have this lead. You've been playing the right way. You've been closing out quarters the right way, which they did, in my opinion. All three, except for the one that mattered the most, obviously the fourth, that led into overtime, that bled into Steph Curry going off the way he did and closing this one out. That huge three-pointer, that's what he does. You give him so many opportunities to do that, which they did, right? Because he missed at least like three of them in that final minute or so, or at least, including for the end of the fourth quarter going into overtime. He's not going to continue to do that. And of course, that wasn't the case. He hit the biggest shot of the night. And that was it for the Celtics, down 4, 2-possession game. In that moment, there was little to no chance.
Yeah.
It's interesting too, Josue, on the timeout
one opportunity
point, because you're down 4 at that point, so you have to think you're going to need 2 timeouts, I want to say, to come back with about less than a minute left. So you lose that challenge, and you have 1 timeout late after the Curry 3 down 4. Doesn't really matter with 12 seconds left, but you want to have 2 there to give yourself a chance. So I didn't love the management there. Also, you could say, John, that the first challenge, the one we mentioned with Brown, maybe they're not going to give it to you because they don't want to take Curry out of this game. I think you could look at it that way. But the Pritchard one, it really looked like he was in bounds. Like, that was one I think you could have won. And that swings the games. 3 points in your favor.
I thought
3 points went their way right after.
I thought every angle actually showed he wasn't out of bounds. It looked
like when he shoots threes, he doesn't put both his heels don't hit the ground.
His heel never touched the ground.
It was an awful call.
Never touched the ground, right?
Yeah. I think you challenged that one.
I'm thinking to myself that he was going to go down, and it's obviously going to go down in the wrong spot, but it never went down. At least the replays that they showed, which was like at least from 3 different angles, So, but if you remember, guys, there was like a 2-second clip of you see Joe Mazzulla turn to one of his assistants in the back, and he just looked really unsure. He kept going back to his tape or his phone or whatever.
You know what I think he was telling him, Josue,
is
we don't have the angle. Yeah, we don't have the angle where it's going to be.
I think that's what he was telling Joe. But
Yeah.
Joe was he had that look on his face. As
Joe
if,
wanted to challenge it.
Right. Like, hurry up. I really want to do this. Do we have it or not? He couldn't say it.
That was a great angle, yeah. And those plays ended up being super consequential, of course, but also the play on the court. I mean, the offense fell apart late, and not having Porzingis out there is a big part of it. But you also go back to some of the ISO ball. I think Holiday fell into it a little bit too, just trying to force up some shots in isolation.
Everybody did. They completely stopped. They completely stopped moving. I think they got what's funny is, and again, I have to go back and, rewatch some of that fourth. I know everyone's going to be like, why didn't you attack Curry? But I think the Warriors, certainly on several possessions, baited the Celtics into trying to attack Curry by bringing that double. And when you were seeking out that switch on Curry late in the clock, when that double came, it forced them into a lot of late in the clock 3-point heaves. Mm-hmm. And there were a ton of those in this game. And so they kind of got stuck in that. It's the whole, why does Sam Hauser lead the league in defensive rating? Because you get obsessed with attacking one person, and then everybody knows you're going to attack that one person, and it's easy to kind of figure out how you can counter that. Golden State was bringing that double up there, and when it's 7 seconds left on the clock, that next pass went to a guy that had no choice.
It was a grenade.
Launch a grenade. And that happened a bit there, and they didn't see it. And we could see it. That's what I didn't get is that's another place where Joe's going to be like, stop it, run the offense, go. Stop hunting the matchup there. I thought they went crazy ISO heavy instead of people are saying they should have attacked Curry. I think that was the mistake they made, is that they were trying to seek out those matchups, and they were getting trapped and taking bad shots.
Yeah, I think the Warriors did a good job of protecting Curry after he picked up his fifth foul, especially when he got caught in the mismatch against Jaylen Brown down low in the paint. If you're the Warriors, that should never happen. There should have been a double team immediately on Jaylen, or someone has to switch off of Steph, knowing that he's going to pick up his fifth personal foul. So I feel like when you check back into the game, the Warriors did a really good job of making sure that never happened again. And I felt like the Celtics would just continue to try to seek out that same opportunity. When you got to know that the Warriors, they've been in these type of situations before. It is rare when we see Steph Curry foul out, but whenever he's in foul trouble, or whenever he gets to that point, especially so early, like he did tonight in the third quarter, the Golden State Warriors they know how to make sure that doesn't happen again. And obviously, in terms of with the officials and what they have to do to make it look good, they're well equipped to do that. And I feel like that was the case in this game.
Yeah, and they were pretty aggressive with that. Obviously, it burned them on that play where they threw two on Tatum right up top where White hit the three, but Curry hit it, got right back the other way before the game ended there. And, Warriors take it in the end. So I love the coaching on Golden State's side, that among other things. The usage of the role players. I thought Kuminga was great in this one. Trace Jackson-Davis, who was my guy in the draft for Boston, just absolutely killed them here. And a couple big blocks, some momentum plays, rebounds. He had the tip out to Chris Paul on the play where Paul hit Curry for the decisive three. And Celtics bench kind of fell flat in this one more than not, I thought, especially Hauser. Those misses by Hauser, wide open at the end of his final stretch, were just brutal.
Yeah.
Brissett came in with a nice burst after the Tatum injury, and you never saw him again, which I thought was weird. O'Shea came in and hit 3 shots.
That's because
I forgot about him.
Second unit show right there. That's why.
Brissett was awesome for that little spurt.
He came out flying.
For 3 possessions.
If Reggie Miller wasn't reading from his game notes for the whole entire first half, he might have pointed out that Brissett was just coming in and freaking yamming it on everybody.
That shit was driving me crazy. That and the fact that it took them 7 minutes to be like, oh wait, where's Tatum? Oh shoot, is he injured? What are you guys talking about here? I don't care about the latest on Draymond
coming
Green.
out of timeout. They did a Kelly LaForce segment on Draymond. Oh my God. A top 5 NBA player just left the game.
That's exactly what we want to know. Is Draymond okay? How's that counseling going? Thank you. I appreciate the update. That's what I'm saying. What is this, Warriors TV? Oh man.
That's how I thought the Celtics played in this one. They didn't adapt enough. They didn't switch up their game plan to the way the Warriors are playing them. And I thought the Warriors did a great job on the fly trying to figure things out. They lost a player in this game in Podzinski, and here's Corey Joseph coming off the bench, scoring on cuts.
He
Jackson in the game late. Kerr was awesome in this one. Obviously, as Sherrod said, they had some urgency coming into this game, given how they've played lately. And the Celtics just won 1 million games at home. So I'm sure that was a difference here. But this is one you probably should have had, especially the way Jaylen played early. How good was he again? And that just sort of faded late as they got back into Tatum and some of the normal things they do offensively. There's still, we've talked about it all year, John. When their game plan goes great and it's very simple and straightforward, attack the mismatch, find the best matchup, shoot the wide open three. Those things are great when they're working. But in this game, again, you had golden opportunities to expose the Warriors at the rim, and you didn't take them. You just kept launching grenades, as you said, at the end of the shot clock from three, or guys were missing wide open threes. White had a bunch of them in this game, but other guys were off, and they just kept shooting them and shooting them and shooting them. And I thought they settled so much in this game. And I know we get a quote here from Joe, of course, that he thought they played great and did the right things, but something didn't work, right?
A lot of things did not work. So that's but that's just Joe. I mean, the glass is going to have at least be half full 99% of the time with Joe. That's just how he's built. And then
I get it's one game, Sherrod. They've been playing well. It's one game, but in the playoffs,
that one game could
kind of game could change this series. Yeah.
Is Gary Washburn in San Francisco, in Oakland, San Francisco right now? Is he allowed to ask about the threes?
If he does, we're in for a real moment here.
And if he does, I know he's got some receipts ready or something ready.
There'll be a meltdown. There will be a meltdown of ginormous proportions.
58 threes. 58.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it got to the point where they kept exchanging 3-point misses with Golden State.
Oh my God! To start overtime, it was like a 3-point contest.
And I'm thinking, like, after like maybe the second or third missed three, maybe we should try to get some action going at the rim. Maybe we should try to get a post up.
Al Horford went to the post against Curry, drew a foul, and got two free throws.
Right.
His 9th and 10th of the season, and his 16th and 17th since March 1st, 2023. He has shot 17 free throws since March.
He's not look, Al is a shooting wing. He's not a big. He still has big man skills, obviously, but that's not the role they want him to play. And again, it goes back to what we were talking about coaching. I mean, there's certain matchups that you, in the process of running your offense, may appear as though you're hunting for that matchup, but it's just making the right basketball play. If you're Al Horford and you see that you're matched up with Steph Curry, why in the world are you 20 feet away from the rim? Why? There's no reason.
They bailed them out. There's no other way to put it. They bailed out the Warriors.
They did. And but obviously that there are a couple guys that played, I thought, really good, but for the most part, this is one they probably should have won this game. But the thing, Bobby, the reason why I'm not freaking out about it, I'm not upset about it, because over the course of a long season, you're going to have nights like this. I mean, like Tatum missed late in the game, missed a layup.
That was huge, man. People can say what they want about the Al putback, but he should have made the first, man.
He should have had the possession, with 5 misses.
Jaylen on the baseline.
Yep.
Al had one, and then Al had one, and then Tatum. So there was 3 just bunnies.
And
he saw Al too.
Right. If those guys take those same shots 10 times, they'd probably make them 9 out of 10 times. And it just so happened each of them missed that shot in the same night.
Oh, see, I knew this was coming. I knew. See, look at the quote Ahmed just saying when you guys get a chance. I mean, this is what he points to whenever anyone wants to talk smack about the 3-point attempts. It's like, well, how many layups did we miss today? Mizzou's got a point there, I guess.
So let's talk about the potential layups that they missed and the potential 3-pointers and the potential assists that they missed out on. I mean,
so this is a fine line, Sherrod,
it's about production.
You talk about the PLs.
It's about production. It's about, at the end of the day, it's about production, not potential. Explain the philosophy to us.
as John said to open the show, you get the philosophy. You miss these shots at the rim. Warriors fly back in transition and make threes, and that's what kind of piles up the game against you. But in a game where you needed some quality, good looks at the rim, you're discouraging this team from shooting at the rim. And more often than not, they're passing out of those positions. So this is the adaptability you want to see from this team a little bit, to not only a matchup where you're capable of scoring inside in droves like the Celtics could be here against the Warriors, but you're going up against a team that's in some foul trouble with Curry and has some smaller guys coming into the game in reserves because of injuries and all the rest. No Draymond here, of course, as well.
This is the problem. You're legitimately discouraged to shoot at the rim because of the fear of it turning into transition, going the other way and, eating a three in transition when you miss those looks in tight. So I wouldn't say overpassing, but like the objective is almost to not take those shots unless they're completely uncontested. And so how do you get good at this stuff if you're not trying to do it during the course of the game? Like that's kind of,
and it also limits your free throw attempts.
Exactly. Yeah. So like that's the point is you're not getting to the line. You're not getting, the other team in foul trouble. You're not taking advantage of size, man. It's just like there's risk with everything. There's a risk that you'll miss 41 threes. So like nothing is foolproof. Just play. It's not, I guess again, it all comes down when it doesn't work. All of this stuff comes out and it's frustrating because it's not a single formula. It's just simply basketball.
Like, and I do think they have a good formula. Like it's working.
Move the ball, take the best shots, and it's working. Right. It's not but it's not always. It's not ironclad. But anyway,
in the playoffs, you need to be able to adapt. That's what it comes down to here.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt about it. We got a lot more to talk about, and there's some good, but I think everyone's just kind of a little bit fired up here because you didn't want to see them lose this game to this team in this manner. And I think, as we said, kind of brings up a lot of old stuff. Tell you quickly about our pals over at FanDuel, exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network, and also the official partner of the NFL. And if you're interested in getting involved in some betting action this NFL weekend, or any NBA night, NHL night, there's a ton going on. You can wager on right now. Go to FanDuel.com/Boston. Sign up today. You get $150 in bonus bets when you place a winning $5 money line bet. Once again, that is FanDuel.com/Boston. Super duper easy to use site. App is great, very intuitive, lots of great specials, lots of great lines, lots of different things that you can do there. So check out FanDuel.com. Also, we have this special offer from our friends over at Dreamers Pro.
I've been looking for the best deal on Celtics tickets, and with over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events every single day on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports festivals, and more. You can use my code DreamersPro for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code DreamersPro. Make sure you check the link in the description to download the app.
Oh, sorry, we're still on that.
Why is it Dreamers Pro? Why is that the thing?
That's our podcast. It's a podcast in the CLNS Media Network called Dreamers Pro. They're running a SeatGeek ads, and we're helping pump those up for them.
That makes a lot of sense.
So,
all right, cool.
Yeah, so Dreamers Pro. Anyway,
by the way, I looked it up. Tatum last year against the Warriors, and this obviously stems back to the 2022 finals where he really struggled against this team. 31% from the field in the two games, 27 from three, 8 assists, 9 turnovers. So they have him solved a little bit.
Yikes.
Damn.
They know his tendencies.
Yeah, I mean, and look, we have to give some benefit of the doubt on the rolled ankle. He definitely looked tentative. I tweeted like he hadn't even looked to drive or go to the basket once.
But this looks like a finals line for him.
And then seconds later he did. So he did attack a couple of times. He wasn't particularly effective, but too much.
The story of those finals, John, he had like 8 assists a game, remember, in that series? And it was like, whoa, the passing's way up. But they were making him a passer.
They're
They
making
didn't
him
want him
pass.
aggressive.
Yeah.
And they were
Yeah.
willing to
No,
live
they-
with some of these wide open threes. They ignored Horford a lot in this game. They ignored those Hauser misses at the end of his stretch there were wide open. They packed the paint. They really crowd that lane, and they discourage you from taking shots at the rim, which is a big reason why I'm sure they didn't.
Yeah, ignoring Hauser is pretty dumb, but that's but it worked for them tonight. But again, I think like that's a philosophy. Like if you want to look at the Celtics there and say, I don't want Tatum and Brown running downhill on me all night long. I'll live and die. Like they can live and die by the three. I'll live and die by some threes too. And that's what they did before when the shooters were Marcus Smart and, whatever, different guys out there who, they wanted to swing the ball to them. That could kill you against the team. If the Celtics are knocking down their threes right now, Golden State doesn't even play their starters in the fourth quarter. This would have been a 30-point game. So, yeah, I guess it worked tonight, but Joe's right. I think through 3 quarters, that lead could have ballooned based on the open looks that they were getting. They were still playing fairly well, and they were shooting horribly from 3. And then the fourth quarter, they just went into la ISO land. I have no idea what they were doing. Absolutely zero. One passing shot. That's all they did all fourth quarter long.
Wow.
That's accurate.
Am I wrong?
It's accurate.
No,
and you know what
you're
was even worse was the 12 misses, 12 consecutive missed field goals in that third quarter.
Mm-hmm.
That was awful. I mean, a lot of that was just lazy shots that weren't, ones that you have to actually work for and get to the paint or at least pass 3-4 times before you get it back. Really hard, like the ones that you really have to work for. I feel like the Golden State Warriors certainly came out of halftime with a lot more pressure on the defensive end of the floor, but the Celtics just really just caved in, and I felt like they were getting lazy with their possessions. Like that's honestly when the comeback started, obviously for the Golden State Warriors, but I feel like it built a lot of confidence. They came out of that third quarter feeling like, well, not only can we, erase this deficit, but we can beat these guys, and it was the other guys that was doing it as well. It wasn't just your Currys and your Klay Thompsons.
What was shocking too, and this might have just been an anomaly in this game, but 18 offensive rebounds could have saved you here. And a lot of credit of that goes to Kada and some of the others. But you gave up 18.
I know.
How?
I want to point this out too, because I was going to say it and Judah threw it out there. I think Joe ices Brown with a couple of his sub patterns. He takes him out for so long at times. And again, Brown was controlling this game like on both ends in terms of attacking Curry, and he started the game and spent a lot of the night matched up on Curry when he was doing poorly as well. And I do think Joe, that whatever rotation he's got on him, I feel like I forget Brown's on the team a couple of times. When he comes out, you just don't see him for like 9 minutes. It feels like it's a really long time.
He sat 2 minutes to go in the second after scoring a bunch of points in the stretch before.
I guess it wasn't that bad. And he came back about 7 or 8, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's like 6-7 minutes.
It's a long stretch at a time when like it's a critical point in the game. I get trying to rest your starters there, but you're
Plays
right.
the whole third, fourth sets. It's about.
And that first to second stretch too. I'm not sure what that was, but anyway,
the longer stretches when he does sit. You're right.
Yeah. Anyway, just a minor thing, but Bobby, go back. Sorry, I kind of jumped in there because I wanted to hit that comment.
No, he was rolling in this game, and he took advantage of the mismatches. And this just looked like the finals, John. He played with an urgency, with a downhill style of attack. Even there were a couple plays where he missed inside and got it right back, got to the free throw line 8 times in this game. Made some stellar passes again. The decision-making in this game was so good for the stretches he was out there running the offense. And on a night where Tatum's out of it and hurt and not looking like himself against a tough defensive attack, why not adjust a little bit and rework the offense more into Brown's hands and use Tatum as more of a spacer, maybe a guy who's in the post, drawing some attention in there. They only did that a handful of times in this game, it felt like. I just felt like everything, and it goes back to your comments too about his sub patterns. Everything feels a little rigid in this game. Like, we've been doing this all year. It's been great. It might be going a little haywire at certain points in this game, but let's keep doing it. And the Celtics just seemed to bash their head in against a Warriors team that was well prepared to stop what they were trying to do in this game. And obviously, I thought the first quarter they looked great, going up 40-30. It looked like they were just going to run away with this game there. As Josue mentioned, they go up 11 in the third before that stretch of 11 straight misses, I think it was, maybe 12.
12, yeah.
And you don't adapt in those situations. You just keep launching. You don't take more of a downhill focus with them in foul trouble and with them playing smaller lineups. I just didn't think this game was well managed. And some of it's on Joe, of course, but a lot of it's on the players too. I mean, to go back to the last shot Tatum took, if you're going to do that, and I feel like this team knows it at this point, that the timeout's not coming there, you as Tatum with the ball in your hands there have to put yourself in a better position or put the team in a better position to get a good shot off there. And so often, I know like the numbers are good for him in those clutch circumstances, last shot, go ahead, game tying, all those. I think the numbers still look good for him in those spots, but it feels like when he takes that kind of shot, it never goes in.
You mean when there's no timeout, or just mean
just at the end of the game to tie it, to go ahead, last shot?
I mean, whether or not it's the last shot, it's not, because it's always that shot. And again, we've gone over this. It's the most perplexing thing about Jason Tatum's game, and this is why I kind of joked about him needing therapy, or hypnosis or something. It's to get off of it. It's the thing he's the worst at that he loves doing more than everything else. He's not just the worst. It's not the worst of his particular skill set. He's the worst in the entire league at it. Like, this is 2 years running.
He's down to 35 from three.
He is, but his pull-up threes at the volume he shoots it, he is the worst in the league at it. Like, that's it, and it's been that number for a couple of years. It's the worst thing that he does, and he's worse than everybody, but he loves it. Okay,
29.9%.
He's attempted the fourth or fifth most pull-up threes in the NBA, and he has the lowest percentage, I think, among the top 40 or 45 guys. It's horrible. Stop. He does it. At the end of the game, sometimes it's the only shot you can get. At the end of the clock, sometimes it's the only shot you can get. And so obviously those percentages are going to go down for a guy like Tatum, who might get the ball in his hands at that time. It goes without saying. He does it during times of prosperity. He does it early in the clock. He does it when the offense is clicking and the ball is moving. And he's like, okay, time for me to do this. It's a really strange thing.
Doesn't it just feel like a waste?
It's such a throwaway. And sure, sometimes they go in and Twitter will be like, oh, when Tatum hits those, we're unstoppable. But you don't want him taking those. Guys, don't enable him. Don't encourage him with that stuff. Like,
and they've done some good stuff to counteract that, right?
Don't do that. Don't do that.
When you're shooting this many threes as a team, you're going to miss a lot of shots, even on your best night. And I feel like the way they've mixed in offensive rebounding has been effective in counteracting that. They do, I think, set up more catch and shoot threes than they do a year ago generally. And in this game, I'll throw Joe some credit here to his point. And on it, some nights this is valid. I feel like they missed a lot of open looks in this game. But at some point you have to adjust when they're not going in. You have to, especially on the pull-ups. Like, those are things you can take out of your shot die and work the ball around and get some better looks. But passing all year, John, hasn't been a big part of their attack. And I'm still trying to figure out why. They're a bottom 5 to 10 team in terms of total passes. They're a bottom 5 to 10 team in terms of assists. And I can't put my finger on why, but it's been constant the whole way through this year. How many assists in this one? 28. Like, that's just kind of where they floated. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28 assists in a game. And that's near the bottom of the league. Their passing has generally been near the bottom of the league.
And what's their formula? They're always in the bottom third in pace also. So, yeah. And again, it's not, this will sound like you're piling on, but I mean, why is this the problem, Bobby?
Tatum.
It's because
It's a lot of it is Tatum, and sometimes it's Brown, minus the last 6, 7, 8 games when he's been playing, doing everything right. But it's the ball stopping, that happens a lot of times. And again, Brown has not been doing that,
especially late in games.
Yeah,
and they've been good in the clutch this year. Porzingis has been a big part of that, obviously. But
it's the ball stopping. It's also Joe, just like I said, not really calling plays and them oftentimes just running very simple sets where you just do the high pick and roll. Ball exchanges hands, goes into one person's, one person ends up with it, and then they generate the shot. They do that a lot instead of a, multi-pass offense. Why did we love that small ball game? Oh my God. Because every offensive set involved like 5, 6, 7, 8 passes. They were just whipping the ball around. And that's why we came out of that game like, that was beautiful, because you so seldom see these multi-pass possessions. And
you had a chance to do that tonight too. And
yeah,
I know you like Kada's game tonight, Sherrod, and I think there's a lot of reasons to like it. But you do end up playing bigger and a little bit slower in those circumstances. And the bench is an area that kind of killed you tonight, those stretches with them out there. That was a little disappointing after they really generated some good momentum. Of course, you don't have Porzingis, so Horford's not with that group, and Cornette's out, and blah, 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 blah. But that group didn't play great in this game. I felt like the Warriors bench really came out and surprisingly won those stretches. I mean, they were just great. Paul's coming off that bench and just making play after play after play. 12 assists for him in this one. Moody hit a pair of threes. Saric for 3 threes. Trace Jackson Davis, just incredible tonight. 10 points, 13 rebounds, 3 blocks for him. It's like
how's he become this bench rebounding god, by the way? That wasn't his game.
I think people forget who his daddy is. I mean, Dale Davis was a pretty damn good rebounder.
Yeah. I was talking about Saric. Sorry.
Is that where Davis comes from?
People forget that Saric, when he was in Philadelphia, he was a starter. He was
he was really good in Phoenix too before he tore his knee.
Right, right. So I mean,
he looks like his face looks like it melted though. Like he's always got that weird look. Like,
yeah, I know what you mean. I was like, what? You didn't look like that in Philly. What's going on? Yeah.
John's not holding back. It's 1:30 a.m. He's like, I'm just going all out.
I think he lost a lot of weight or something. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I noticed that. I literally said, "That's Sarge." I was like, what? Like, his face is familiar, but yeah.
Gary Washburn probably was like, look, I can't ask Joe about the threes because everyone's expecting me to ask about the threes. So he asks Jaylen about the threes, and Jaylen Brown says, we could have gotten layups and settled for threes. We had open looks, but sometimes when you have numbers, you penetrate and go to the basket. Now
Jaylen's like way too many threes, man.
Yeah. So now is that a referendum on Joe? Remember last year when we were talking about like
after the Knicks game? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, well, Joe's saying this and they're saying this, and it's kind of like, do we have to shoot? It's like, do we, do I have to shoot that many threes, Joe? I get it, but
some good commentary from Brown here.
And again, there's another one. We talked about this earlier. He's talking about they did a good job. Warriors did a good job hiding Steph Curry on defense after he got that 5th foul. And the Celtics lost their rhythm trying to target him. I feel like we just played instead of looking around. We would have been able to attack. And that's what we talked about early. I think people are missing this one a little bit, is that it's not that they didn't attack him. It's that they actually tried a little bit hard. And when they did find that switch, and Brown is right, you couldn't get it right away, and when you got it, boom, double came over, and then they were screwed, and then they couldn't get a good shot on that possession.
Yeah, and not that he was in foul trouble necessarily in any of those games, but they went out of their way to try to expose him, and that's what they do as a team, right? That's their game plan: find the weakest guy in the court and go at him, go at him, go at him. But there are some teams, and this is, I think, a big problem when they play the Heat too. The Heat zone it up, so you can't do that, and when they lose that focus offensively, when they're not able to do that, it can make them look a little frenetic. And that's what I thought they looked like in this game. And Sherrod, the toughest part, you almost hope you don't end up in that position, because once he gets to 5, you're like, all right, we have to take him out of the game now. But the refs aren't going to give you that 6 easily.
They're not. I mean, he's going to have to do something that's blatantly obvious. I mean, he's going to have to like tackle Jaylen Brown or, toss Tatum 3 rows back, and then maybe they'll give him the 6.
Yeah.
Maybe. The more we talk about this game and the more I think about it, they have to. To me, the lesson learned in this is that you have to make the most of every opportunity.
Right.
When you're on the road, you're only going to get so many opportunities to screw things up to where you're going to screw yourself and the chances of winning. They did not. There's so many little minuscule things that they could have done a little bit better that would have probably got them to win. And we talked about Joe earlier. I can't shake that feeling that this was a game that they needed Joe Mazzulla to be like really good.
So slice it up, which things specifically on Joe for you? Like
specifically managing Jason Tatum's play. Jason was just kind of out there. It's just not. It was almost like he needed someone to just say, Jason, you're 6'9". You're getting switched out on guys who are 6'5" and shorter. Take your ass on the block and go to work. And if they double team or they tilt or they blitz, swing into the open man. Basic basketball stuff. This is the one game, Jason, where we don't really need you to be killing them with your shooting touch away from the basket. We actually need you to do some of the dirty work because that's going to open things up for other guys. I would love to see more of that. And that's one of those things as a coach, you tell your guy, I need you to get your ass on the block. And he has one or two choices. He can either do it or not. And if he doesn't do it, then you got to say, well, okay, let me find someone who else can do it. Or let me reiterate that to him because he's the best player on the team. And I'm telling him something that's actually good for him and good for the team. I just didn't think Joe was engaged in the little nuance type things. And again, pointing out the fact that they missed 41 threes and all the things that they did wrong.
That's obvious, though, isn't it? Like, what can you guys do better?
Yeah, Bobby, that's kind of my point. Like,
you're past the point, and you get why he did that last year because the whole season felt like a referendum on him, and he had to defend himself. And
which
I think kind of explain, and he's done a much better job this year, what they're trying to do, why they're trying to do it. They're not just launching up 100 threes and rolling the ball out there. They have something that they're trying to do here. But what made that game plan go haywire in this one? Why did it swing so bad against you? It didn't just happen. Like, they didn't get unlucky in this game. I felt like the Warriors did a lot of good stuff that disrupted them, especially Tatum. So what should they have done better in this spot? And I feel like, again, we don't know what they're talking about inside the team, but I feel like after losses like this, they shrug and go, we missed shots and we did the right thing and let's play again tomorrow. And they did that in the playoffs last year, and they never learned from their worst moments.
That's the thing is, in over a long enough timeline, that's correct thinking.
Yes.
But when it comes to like playoffs and series and adjustments, that doesn't work. You have to kind of you got to play it as it lies, things are going to change, and the thing that you're doing might not be the thing that you need to do in order to win and to be successful. And if the other team is making you do something that you don't want to do or making you play left-handed, so to speak, like, you've got to be able to adjust. You can't just say like, no, this plan works. It works over time, but sometimes it doesn't work against certain teams in certain moments or series, when things change. And I think that that's the fear with Joe is, do you just have that one book, like the one play sheet, it's like, or do we got something else we can run here,
Right.
Because everyone, if, you also become a little bit predictable that way. The thing is, you're relying on, the talent and intelligence of your basketball players to just, he keeps stressing, make the right reads, do the right things, get the right shots. It's great, but it can't always be like, this was a game where it probably felt like, let's switch it up a little bit, guys. I don't like what's going on about here. I want us to be a little bit more aggressive. I want us to take it in a little bit. I know normally we say do this, but in this case, do that. I think you can do that, and you could, have hunted out when Golden State wasn't really big and you had those matchups and you could attack the paint and you didn't have anybody to challenge there, maybe be a little bit more aggressive getting downhill. And they didn't get downhill enough at all.
You knew. I don't know if you guys listened to Zach Lowe this week. They were talking a lot about the Celtics, and he's been concerned about their lack of shots at the rim. Yeah, and he brought up again this week and said, someone with the Celtics told me, look at our shot numbers when Porzingis is it out there. We're much higher. We get a lot more shots inside, blah, blah, blah. You knew you weren't going to have Porzingis tonight. So how can you draw up more shots inside without him out there? Could you have used Horford in those situations a little bit more often? Whatever it might be. And then you kind of lucked into some really good minutes there to close the first with Tatum off the floor. I'll go back again to Brissett. The stay ready crew, he was ready. 5 minutes, 3-3, flying around everywhere, and then he's gone.
I mean, STC.
Dude, that first friggin' baseline
he came out flying.
Where he not only attacked, but he
was ready.
He switched to the left and just, oh my God, hammered it.
He was ready.
Great.
He thought it was the final for a little bit, man. He was ready.
Joe was like, "Get ready again." Sit down. Never played again. That was tough.
Yeah, that was tough.
Beginning of the trip.
And they went to Shvi at one point. That was kind of weird.
Yeah, I blinked. I blinked a couple times and he was gone. That was the last.
I was like, "What is he doing out there?"
Yeah, he was out there for just 4 minutes of cardio. That's it. Like they don't even look at him. They literally don't. Even
I saw him chilling in the corner 3 spot. And I was like, "Is that Svi?" I had no idea he checked in.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't probably know he checked in. He was like, "You want me to do what? Play? Oh, okay, let's go."
Want to throw
40 minutes? All right, shit.
I know you wanted to do it, Sherrod. Want to throw Kada some credit before we get out of here?
Kada was awesome. I mean, this is when Luke is healthy enough to play. I'm not sure Luke is going to be playing much.
Okay.
At a minimum, Kada gives you.
That's not what Joe said.
Well,
all right, Bobby. Damn. Well, you asking Joe Luke questions every game? Almost. I'll never forget you. You led off a press conference with a Luke question. That was kind of wild.
I'll put it this way: Kada, not only did he get a double himself in 20 minutes, but he made so many freaking plays that got guys great shots that they otherwise wouldn't get. And he ran the floor, and he actually showed the ability to Bobby. This is the thing that he did that I was most impressed with. He actually showed the ability to make a move on the block and finish over someone who was similar in size.
He drove.
Yeah, man. Kid's got some footwork. He's got some moves on it.
They're
a little raw, but he's working on them.
I mean, other than when Luke is going to get breakfast and get mixed for lemon squares, where does he drive? Does it to the grocery store.
The good thing is when he misses inside, and he has had a few bunnies that he's missed here or there, he grabs them back. There was a nice finish early on where he was on the move. Yeah. He missed it, was in a crowd and grabbed it back.
He put it in over the back of his head.
Yeah.
He stays with it.
He's got an uncanny ability to grab the ball when it's loose in there. And sometimes it is his own misses. I'm sure like 4 of these rebounds here were his own misses.
Well, those tapbacks sometimes drive me crazy. And Luke does that a lot, man. It's just like, oh, if I just do this, one of my teammates will grab it behind me. Like, that's not always going to happen. That
Luke does go get a little comfortable with that. But yeah, he's closing the gap here. The defense isn't great, but he manages. Rebounding can be part of that.
He's almost always the tallest dude on the court, man. Like,
how far ahead of anyone do you think Luke Cornett is that there's a gap to be closed?
I'm gonna hold it against you guys. Remember what Joe said. Our rotation,
gap, right?
Our rotation's Pritchard, Hauser, Cornett, and
all I can think of is that
Horford.
All I can think of is that Bobby is like that Arthur closed fist meme every time Neemias Kada does something well.
I love Kada.
Bobby's just sitting there.
No, Bobby. Last game, you were like, why is Joe doing double big? For a little while, you were like, why is he doing double big? I was like, because Kada needs his reps, all right? This West Coast road trip between obviously Al not playing on second night of back-to-backs, Kristaps Porzingis' status is somewhat up in the air, right? and Luke Cornett all of a sudden is going to be out for a week. Kada's got to be ready. So I'm glad Missoula threw him in
He
there.
stayed ready
Against the Orlando Magic, and he got a little bit of he got a glimpse of what's to come, because he was ready for sure when it came to this Golden State Warriors team. I mean, what was it, 6 points, and what I felt like in 2 minutes, all off of hustle plays and putbacks, and being in the right spot. He had to earn those points, and it carried over to the second half.
No, and he faced an uphill battle being hurt to start the first month or so of the season and being on a two-way deal. I mean, he could have ended up in Maine. And the fact that he's been with the team the whole year shows how much they like him. This is another guy, John, second draft. Kings pick him in the second round. They develop him a little bit. JaVale McGee comes along, and they're like, all right, we got to let him go. And now they're picking up the baton and carrying this development forward. And you need guys like this. The fact that they've done it a little bit with Jordan Walsh here to start this year, and JD Davison's having a great year down in Maine, and Kada comes along on a two-way deal and is giving you a 10-10 night. That alone is a massive victory. So this is great. I love the change of pace he gives to the position here. I don't see him leaping and surmounting over Cornett, who I think is really growing to play well within the system here. But Luke's down for 2 weeks. If you play like this for 2 weeks, maybe the rotation does look a little different. So this is how this kind of stuff happens here, and this is a nice start for him. I thought he played great in the Orlando miniseries too. And he, I was saying it earlier, John, he got a little bit of national love for his screening. Some really good screening in those games on the tape. So
I hate this conversation because I can't think of anything Luke does that I prefer over Kada, because really all I've said is I want my bigs to be big. I want them to do big guy stuff, and Kada does big guy stuff. He challenges.
I just think Cornett's impact's a little more subtle.
But
subtle. I like that.
I want my guy to go in there and grab boards. It's game changing. It actually changes the game, because you can go through cold stretches when you have guys grabbing offensive rebounds in there. And because the Celtics don't get enough shots at the rim,
he definitely rebounds better than
having a guy who grabs them and can put them back like that is a big deal. So I like it because it gives you something you're lacking. And if you're going to put a big in there because you want to have some size, I want them to do big guy stuff. And
you know what I'll say too?
More of it than Cornett. That's all.
He defends well in space for how big he is. There was a play where he was out on Chris Paul, and he was hanging in there for 2 straight isolations on him, and then they threw it up top, and there was an offensive foul, forced the turnover.
It was like, man, I can defend these old knees. I got this.
Let me ask you this. This is an oldie but goodie, right? Regarding Jaylen Brown. How many games did you have where Jaylen Brown looked like the best player on the court for stretches of it, if not the entire game? And then he would go with 1 shot in the fourth quarter, 2 shots in the fourth, something like that, not getting the ball late in games. And again, it's not all about like, oh, Tatum's greedy and he wants the ball and this and that. But it's
2 shots in the fourth.
2 shots in the
3
fourth.
in overtime.
Yeah. Why is that? Why is this the case so often? And again, one of the reasons it's only 2 shots in the fourth is because he rested for that longer spell and came in a little bit later there as well.
I think a big part of it is that they're not in actions together. It's either Brown's
one or the other
action, or it's Tatum.
Yeah.
So the other guy's usually going to be spacing in that circumstance. Unfortunately, as we've talked about for much of this year, Porzingis can be a bridge between those two. But I think we're seeing more and more this offense, especially in crunch time scenarios. If they have Porzingis, it's going to be great. And if they don't, all of the old challenges are going to emerge again, which is a tough place to be in with a player who's so injury prone. And now I don't know how long will they have him without back-to-backs. There's a back-to-back next week. I think there's one the week after that. So there's going to be stretches here where they don't have Porzingis, which was a given when you acquired him. So it's what we've talked about for a long time, John. They don't always play well off each other. And I thought within the flow of those Orlando games, they did. They found each other for some big shots, but not tonight. Not much interaction between those two at all. I can't even remember a pass between them.
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm sure they did, but.
And again, it might come out, and Tatum might have gutted it out. I question whether or not if Tatum couldn't be his full self, I question what good he was doing out there, simply for that reason. Because
you think that's what it was?
I'm going to say this: if the ankle
was part of it and slowed him down and caused him to play a more passive game. I didn't think he was moving laterally particularly well. Tatum right now, we just got a quote, not to make any excuses. Every time you say that, the next thing is, but I'm going to make an excuse. And in this case, yes, that's what it is. Not to make any excuses, but when you sprain your ankle, it swells up just stiff. It makes it a little tougher to move. I still was out there, so I feel like if you go there, you can play. You can't make any excuses, but I just made an excuse.
The excuse sandwich.
I get it.
Look, I wish these guys, these guys would just hire. If I ever stop doing this, it's going to be to consult people.
PR counsel?
On how to shape the narrative. I have said it to the players over and over again. Don't you say it.
John's going to go from setting the narrative against Brown to setting it for him.
I can help you. I know how to. I can help you. Don't say it. The media guys are going to say it, and the fans will say it for you. Don't say it, okay? When you say it, the thing that you want.
No, there's no doubt it played an impact.
To get it out there, then it becomes an excuse, and people use it against you.
Right.
Thank you. Shakalaka.
Because then you get the group of people being like, well, at least he's not using it as an excuse.
I think that shot's always up there. I think that's part of it. Is he's just shooting moonballs. That's just what he does.
He's shooting the lights out. I don't think this was just a bad night.
I'm not worried about it. Just a bad one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's adjusted his shot, and to me, that's the reason why he's been he's been an elite or damn near elite 3-point shooter.
Yeah. I mean, let's rip through, some of the stuff that you liked here. Obviously, the first quarter and the way that they were moving the ball. Derek White being, an assassin from three and, making all those shots. Brown again, the start he had to this game was kind of the way he'd been playing, making a bunch of great decisions, playing really good defense on Curry, attacking, doing all of those things. Obviously, your Kada minutes as well. Went reasonably, went as well as you could have hoped. You got great contribution from Brissett, but never saw him again.
I thought Drew was pretty good in this one too.
Drew was fine. I thought he took some questionable shots as well. I don't mean to lump bad in with the good section of this. I thought Horford was pretty freaking bad most of the game, not only with the shooting, but also he was just getting attacked. But, he piled up some boards. He made some passes. It wasn't all bad, but I thought defensively he was getting attacked, not just on the switches by Curry late. I didn't think he was able to do anything to defend the paint at all. And he was getting killed on the boards, and he was there watching those guys, go up and over and get those putbacks and those second chance points. So again, it's just, he's not that big. He's not that guy, he's a different guy. He helps you in different ways. But and tonight wasn't a great one.
Payton went 3 for 6 from 3, and we mentioned, or 3 for 5. Mm-hmm. If they challenge that one successfully, 4 or 6, and you probably win this game.
Yeah. Yeah, perhaps.
Facts, my dog. Facts my dog.
I also think Derek White taking 17 3-pointers is freaking insane.
I couldn't believe that when I saw the box score. I was like,
isn't that emblematic of how the Warriors played them? Here you go, Derek. Take 18. He took 18, John.
And look, again, when Draymond Green delivered those finals comments after game 1, he was talking specifically about Derek White. Like,
I bet he was upstairs tonight radioing in. Hey, get it away.
Well, he can still practice with them. He's been with the guy.
He's like, those haven't been going in. The thing is with White, they have been going in. He's shooting 40+% on the season. So it's not the same guy that they wanted to shoot in the finals 2 years ago. He has
3 blocks in the first quarter too.
But that's an insane 18. I thought it was 17. Anyway, crazy amount of threes. Anyway, any closing thoughts, guys, before we move on? We got another one coming right up. So
look out. Those Kings are good, and they're fast. They are decisive offensively. You're going to have a tough time against them, I think, if Porzingis isn't able to move well out there defensively against them. And then, of course, it's going to be another Kada night against his old team with Horford out. So
Tatum's not going to play either.
Yeah,
I think so.
With this,
highly unlikely.
I'd be surprised if he plays. So with that being said, you got to defend the Sacramento Kings team. And I know no Tatum here. I think it's a big spot for Jaylen Brown. Possibly another big night for Derek White, Drew Holiday especially. I think Drew is – I mean, he's not really showing in terms of how many points he's scoring, but I think he's starting to heat up a little bit in terms of finding his offense and just finding his spot. So I think that carries over as well, and it should be enough. I mean, I don't think the Celtics – I don't think it's like impossible for them to win, but it's going to be tough. The Sacramento Kings team, they can score in a hurry. You know, they can really run you off the floor. However, they don't defend at a really high level. So you can get a lot of points over them, but obviously without Tatum, that could be tough. However, the Celtics' defense, I mean, we've seen it in the past. We've seen it over the past week or so, really, or at least throughout that 5-game homestand, limiting teams to, closer to 100 points, as opposed to giving up what they did today, over 120, or even in overtime. You can't do that against the Kings. That'll be an automatic loss if you don't limit their scoring.
Shaq tonight said he's wondering if they should put Curry as the best player of all time. And Kenny asked him, over you? And Shaq said, yeah.
Yikes.
However,
I gotta watch that.
Big praise for Steph. He really is something, huh? I mean, with everything falling apart around him there, Draymond losing his mind, he is just MVP when he's out there. And he's gotten hurt here and there, too, into some of his later years. But as long as he's there, and I know, John, you had them in the finals this year, right?
I did, but I also had them trading for Rob at the deadline.
Ooh.
I'm curious. So Memphis won tonight.
Ja with a buzzer beater.
Smart's back soon. So I'm interested to see, are they able to get back in the mix, or could Smart kind of be a trade guy? It looks like if they play like tonight, they could get back in the mix.
Morant was ridiculous for first game back. 27 points in the second half. Took over. Unbelievable.
It's great to see them beat the Grizzlies again because, man, that team they put out there the night they lost to the Celtics was really sad.
Yeah, can't wait to see Morant's Instagram tomorrow morning when I wake up.
No, he's all good.
He's learned his lesson.
Wait, they're in the Garden in February, right, Josue? I think.
February. I'm at that.
Do we have a Josue freeze frame right now?
Is he? Oh, I love this.
Oh boy,
this is like a class photo.
That's great. I took a picture.
Oh my god. Josue, come on.
Wow.
He's still there.
I was like, Josue pretty damn happy.
We have a little Josue cutout that we put in here to make it feel like we have got a full show. I want to remember Josue like this always, okay? If I never see Josue again, this is how I want to remember him.
Right, it was a good moment to go out on. He delivered his final take. He's got his big smile, and he's gone. Good night.
Oh, gosh. It's time to go.
It is time to go. We will wrap it up. It's a late one.
Tomorrow.
And some of us will be back tomorrow. It's a lot to expect from everyone. So I do appreciate my partners in crime here on the Garden Report for staying up late. And I know all of you guys have to wake up and get your little kids off to school tomorrow. Nope, that's just me.
That's just you.
Sherrod already did that years ago.
Sherrod got him out the damn house.
Yeah.
Almost. Oh
yeah.
Goodness. Awesome.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap it, but we thank you guys for hanging out. 2 other notes tonight. I'm fairly certain I saw a meteor crash to Earth today. It was like a nothing I've ever seen. It was like a big ball of fire.
John, someone was asking if you put something extra in the pies after you said that.
I'm not kidding. I was like, oh my God. And then a bunch of other people were like, I saw it too. So that happened. That kind of shook me earlier. And before I went on the show tonight, I burnt some cookies. And I've been pissed off about it all night. So, maybe I overreacted a little to the Celtics loss. I was really upset about the cookies.
Yeah, I can see that.
That was bad. All right, Josue.
Laptop just died, so I plugged in. just to say bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. It was plugged out for a second.
Should I show you how you left us?
Or
You'll
more for
love
a
it.
second. Oh no.
You love it.
I'm sure you guys loved it. I'm sure you guys loved it more than I did.
Yeah, it was like that.
I don't even see it.
What?
You know
You
we
don't
should
see
do?
this?
No, we don't see it. No.
Oh, you're not
Show
seeing
it again. No.
I tried. If it's not taken, it's not
Wait,
taken.
was it that big smile?
Yeah.
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 It flashed for like a second. Oh, all right. That's not too bad. I thought it was gonna be like, oh, that's not
You're not
bad.
seeing this?
There we go.
I thought it'd be like
Good
this.
way to go
Like,
out.
I thought it'd be like, hold on, I'll give it a second.
So when Josue is running late and Brockton Wi-Fi is acting up, we can just slap this in there. Boom.
That's real time. We're
thought it'd
live
be like-
now. We're live.
Usually they do you like that.
That's that.
They do you like that.
Yeah, there he is. That's what he looks like.
Funny.
Got Ray Allen. in the back.
Anyway. Yeah, no. All right, we're good. Thank you guys for hanging out. Some of us will see you here tomorrow. Celtics
Thank
take on
y'all.
the Kings. Possibly
2
no
a.m.
Tatum, definitely no Horford. Yeah, and it's 2 a.m. 2 a.m.
You guys are real
Honey.
ones. Staying up with us. Appreciate you.
Thank you guys for hanging out. We will see you guys, most of you guys, I'm guessing tomorrow.